we're trying to figure out, the Canadian dollar was up over 1% yesterday. Today it's giving back. We have all our auto parts guys, they're flip-flopping every day. Oil price moving all over the place, oil companies, mining companies. What do we do? You're going to help us out with our investments here.
Well, look, I think the volatility speaks to this general lack of understanding of what exactly is going on, what's going to happen next, some of that fear being hyped up that you spoke to. And that happens just as much in politics as it does in the market, right? So I think one of the things that's really smart, actually this morning, there was a piece in Bloomberg that I read about how JP Morgan Chase has just stood up a war room of their own. And that war room is a team of their analysts, and their job is to look at every single policy idea that comes out of the Trump administration and follow it through to like what does it mean if this thing that he tweeted actually becomes law? Like what markets is that going to impact? What sectors will be impacted positively and negatively? I think obviously not everyone's going to have the ability to stand up their own war room for that purpose, but if institutional investors can start thinking about and investing some of their own resources into bringing in people who are policy experts who can tell you how a law will go from a Trump tweet into law, like how things actually become law, and what some of the long-term implications of that, the unforeseen consequences of that law might be. I think that would be a really wise investment on the part of a lot of the investment bankers certainly in Canada. You want to keep an eye not just on what the Americans are doing, but on the Canadian government and how things are taking shape in Ottawa and how people are responding, how the Canadians are responding to American not only tariffs but tax policy changes. Like some of the policies that Trump is introducing may appear on the surface to have no direct impact on Canada, like their own internal tax policies. But we know that when taxes are lowered in the United States, it has a direct impact on Canada's ability to compete in a variety of sectors. Yep. So we need to be monitoring all of that and thinking about how is this going to impact our businesses. It's a whole lot more work, unfortunately, for everyone. But it's really important to stay ahead of, because if you get left behind, you're exposing yourself to a lot of risk.
So there's a number of strategists, both noteworthy ones and ones that just have to manage their own account, that are leaning towards the view that just don't buy Canada. We just buy US. We'll just sell all our Canadian holdings and move that to US equities. What would you say to that?
That makes me sad. Look, I think that there are...
Trying to leave emotion out of it, because that's one of my 10 rules. No emotion in investing.
Definitely. Okay, so look, even if
here's one of my favorite books, right?
The Daily Stoic.
Every day.
So even if we're cold about it, let's talk uranium then, okay? So one of the things that we know is that Trump is pro-nuclear, and we know that the Americans desperately need a lot of energy. He's already talked about an energy emergency that he's declaring in the States.
He's going to bring back the entire strategic reserve, so that's like 400 million or something barrels.
Yeah, and the tech industry, who are like the tech bros are his new best friends, right? Like they're all in Washington. They are investing heavily in nuclear. We've seen Meta, Google, they're all like, they're going to build their own nuclear power plants for their data centers, because the data centers need that much energy, right? So if we know that the Americans are going to be investing heavily in a nuclear build out, a nuclear renaissance, frankly, they're going to need a lot of uranium. And there are really only two places in the world where you can get uranium, and that is Russia/Kazakhstan and Canada. We have a ton of it. They should be getting ours instead. The Biden administration banned Russian uranium. Whether or not that ban will survive the Trump administration, we'll see. But regardless, the uranium miners have been having a really hard time getting this stuff out of the ground all over the world, right? Even the Russian stuff.
Yeah.
and staying on schedule. And the demand that we're seeing coming is going to far outstrip what they have, regardless of whether Russian uranium is at play. So we know that we've got to get it out of the ground in Canada. And so I think that's an area where Canada still has a lot of strength. We have critical minerals that you can only get in China that are here, that they've only found, I should say. I'm sure there are other resources, we just haven't found them in other parts of the world. Our biggest problem, though, is we can't get the stuff out of the ground fast enough. It takes 15 years to approve a mine in this country, and that's if you do it quickly. So we need to see regulatory overhauls to speed that process up. We need to see, real innovative deals with First Nations communities where they are equity owners in some of these projects to get that stuff moved out of there faster. I think there are a lot of, there's certainly still a lot of good things worth investing in Canada.